Welcome back to the channel and get ready for another deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins that could change your financial future. Today, we're exploring a coin that millions of people overlook every day, yet a select few collectors are willing to pay life-changing amounts of money for. The 1964 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin may look like an ordinary penny, but its history, its rarity in certain conditions, and its hidden features make it one of the most exciting coins to look for in your change. By the end of this video, you'll understand why one of these coins recently reached an incredible market value of $92,536, and how you might be holding one without even realizing it. Let's begin by stepping back into the year 1964. This was a dramatic and turbulent time in American history. The United States Mint was producing coins in huge numbers due to a national coin shortage. Millions of people were holding on to coins, silver coins were disappearing from circulation, and the Mint worked overtime to meet the demands of the growing economy. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, produced a massive number of Lincoln cents that year. But even though millions were made, the vast majority were used in daily transactions, thrown into jars, passed through banks, and worn down over time. Most ended up scratched, damaged, or heavily circulated, making high-grade examples extremely rare today. To understand why this coin can be worth over $92,000, we must look at one major factor: condition. Coin collectors use something called the Sheldon scale to grade coins from poor condition, which is basically unrecognizable, all the way up to perfect, flawless mint state 70. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. For the 1964 D Lincoln cent, finding a coin in mint state condition with full, original red copper color is incredibly difficult. Copper naturally darkens, stains, and reacts with air over time. That means only a tiny fraction of 1964 D pennies still exist with their bright, original, fiery red color. And those are the coins capable of reaching extraordinary auction prices. One of the reasons this coin is so sought after is its place in history. The Lincoln cent has been produced since 1909, created to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Sculpted by Victor David Brenner, the coin's design is one of the longest-running designs in United States coinage history. But 1964 is especially important because it came just before a major shift in American coinage. Silver coins were removed from circulation after 1964. Even though pennies did not contain silver, collectors in the 1960s were hoarding coins from all denominations. This led to unusual circulation patterns, odd saving habits, and millions of coins being stored away without thought for condition. Only a small percentage of them were saved in brand new, untouched states from the Denver Mint. And that scarcity is what drives today's value. Now let's talk about the features you need to examine if you come across a 1964 D penny. First, always check the mint mark. It should be a clear, strong letter D located just below the date. On many lower quality examples, the mint mark might look faded because of wear. But on a rare, high-grade coin, the mint mark is sharp, bold, and perfectly detailed. Collectors want crisp details across Lincoln's portrait, including his hair, his jawline, his bow tie, and the date. Next, look at the color. The grading services classify copper coins into 3 categories based on color: brown, red-brown, and full red. Full red coins, labeled RD, are the most valuable. These are coins that have retained at least 95% of their original bright red mint luster. This is extremely rare for a penny that is now more than 60 years old. Even just a small fingerprint, a tiny exposure to moisture, or slight oxidation can downgrade the color and reduce the value drastically. That is why the highest auction prices are reserved for the truly pristine, untouched examples. Another key factor is strike quality. A strong strike means the coin shows all of the tiny design elements with maximum clarity. In 1964, the Denver Mint was producing coins rapidly due to the national coin shortage, and sometimes dies were overused. That means many coins came out with soft details. If you find one with a sharp, full strike, particularly on Lincoln's hair and on the wheat stalks of the reverse design used until 1958, or the Lincoln Memorial reverse used from 1959 onward, you might be holding something special. While most 1964 pennies you see today will be worth only face value or a few cents, the highest grade examples are in a completely different category. These are coins found sealed in original bank rolls, forgotten in old collections, or discovered inside mint-sealed sets from the 1960s. When one of these coins receives a top grade such as Mint State 67 Red or Mint State 68 Red from a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, the value skyrockets. That is how one specimen achieved the staggering market value of $92,536. Collectors were willing to compete fiercely for it because the population of such coins is extremely tiny. In fact, out of the hundreds of millions minted, only a very small number have achieved these elite grades. Let's explore why collectors love this coin so much. For many people, the Lincoln cent is one of the first coins they ever collect. It is small, humble, iconic, and represents American history like no other everyday coin. The idea that something as simple as a penny could turn out to be worth tens of thousands of dollars adds an element of excitement for collectors worldwide. It becomes a treasure hunt, with millions of people checking their old jars, boxes, and pocket change. The Denver Mint in 1964 was part of one of the largest coin production years in American history. Because of the coin shortage, the Mint suspended mint marks in 1965, 1966, and 1967. This means the 1964 penny is the last Denver-marked Lincoln cent before that temporary suspension, making it a key date for historians and collectors. Coins from this era are a window into a past moment in American economic history. Now let's go deeper into the grading side, because this is where the big money is. Most 1964 pennies fall somewhere in the range of circulated grades. These worn coins may show scratches, dull surfaces, discoloration, or flattening of designs. These are common and generally worth only a few cents. As the grade improves into Mint State 60 to 64, values increase slightly. But the true leap comes when a coin reaches Mint State 65 and above. This is where collectors start paying serious money, and where even small differences in grade can mean thousands of dollars in price difference. A coin graded MS66 Red might bring in hundreds of dollars. But an MS67 Red can jump into the thousands. And in MS68 Red, the level considered nearly flawless, is where prices can soar into the tens of thousands or more. So what makes an MS68 Red coin so valuable? It is all about microscopic perfection. These coins show no visible marks, no spots, no discoloration, and no flaws under magnification. The luster shines evenly across the entire surface, and the strike is razor sharp. These coins are rare not only because few were made in perfect form but also because surviving perfectly for decades is nearly impossible. That is why collectors treat these coins like blue-chip investments. High-grade coins in this category are often stored in climate-controlled vaults and rarely handled directly by human hands. Let's also talk about errors. While the 1964 penny is not widely known for major errors compared to other dates, some collectible varieties do exist. These include repunched mint marks, die cracks, die abrasions, and mechanical doubling. While most of these errors won't reach the extreme values of top-graded normal coins, they can still add significant value for collectors seeking unusual varieties. A strong repunched mint mark, for example, may attract buyers looking to complete specialized collections. These varieties also add to the mystique of this coin, showing how the minting process in the 1960s was far from perfect. The current market value of $92,536 represents not just rarity but strong demand. Coin collectors today are more passionate and competitive than ever. Online auctions have made rare coins accessible to people all over the world. As more collectors enter the hobby, high-grade coins continue to rise in value. The 1964 penny sits at the perfect intersection of affordability, history, and high-end rarity. The camera fades in slowly, and the audience is welcomed into a journey through time, a journey that begins with something as small as a 1-cent coin yet carries a story worth tens of thousands of dollars. Today's video dives deep into the mysterious, surprising, an incredibly valuable 1968 D mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin. A coin that most people overlook in their everyday pocket change, but a coin that in rare conditions has reached a massive current market value of $65,482. Yes, you heard that right. A tiny penny from 1968, struck at the Denver Mint, can be worth enough money to completely change someone's life. Imagine holding a single copper cent in your hand and realizing it could pay off your debts, buy a car, or even serve as a big step toward retirement. That is the magic of rare coin collecting. And today we uncover every detail behind this special coin, including its history, what makes it valuable, how errors contribute to its shocking price, and how you can check your own pennies to see if you might be holding a fortune without even knowing it. The story of the 1968 D. Lincoln penny begins during a time of change in the United States. The country had just gone through major social, political, and economic shifts. While Americans were dealing with the Vietnam War, civil rights movements, and new cultural revolutions, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing billions of pennies to keep the nation's economy moving. Among these countless coins, however, were a few that would eventually stand out as extraordinary treasures. The design of the 1968 D. Lincoln cent is based on the iconic portrait introduced in 1909. Victor David Brenner created the original design featuring the left-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person, and over the decades, this design became one of the most recognized in American history. On the reverse, until 1959, the wheat ears symbolized prosperity, but by 1968 the design had transitioned into the Lincoln Memorial reverse, introduced 9 years earlier. This meant that the coin not only depicted Lincoln on the obverse but also featured the memorial dedicated to him on the reverse, essentially creating a double tribute to one of America's greatest presidents. Now, billions of Lincoln cents were struck in 1968, but the Denver Mint alone produced over 2 billion pieces. With such a massive production, it may seem impossible for any single penny from that year to be rare or special. But that is where the story gets interesting. Even among billions, there are always a few coins that leave the mint with extraordinary characteristics, unbelievable condition, or rare minting errors that turn an ordinary penny into a small goldmine. One of the biggest reasons that a 1968 D penny can reach a value as high as $65,482 is its condition. Coin collectors prize pristine examples, usually graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. A flawless example, known in the coin world as mint state or MS, especially one with a grade of MS 67 or higher, can skyrocket in value. The reason for this is simple. When billions of coins are produced, most end up in circulation immediately. They get scratched, worn down, lost, or damaged. Very few survive in untouched, original mint condition. So when a high-grade specimen appears at an auction, collectors go wild for it. Another factor contributing to the value is the presence of mint errors. Minting errors are mistakes that occur during production. These include double die obverse, double die reverse, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, wrong metal strikes, and more. A genuine double die 1968 D penny can be extremely valuable because it displays noticeable doubling on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features. Even minor doubling can increase the price significantly, but bold, clear doubling can push a coin into the thousands. Off-center strikes are another type of error collectors actively seek. A penny struck off-center by 10 to 70% can attract bids from hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on how dramatic the misalignment is. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a flawed metal blank, also bring in premium prices. Another major factor for value is originality. Coins with original copper luster, no cleaning, no polishing, and no damage are treasured. Many people unknowingly ruin valuable coins by cleaning them. Cleaning removes natural toning and can scratch the surface, reducing value by 90%. A 1968 D penny with beautiful natural toning can be far more valuable than a cleaned one. The metal composition is another part of the coin story. The 1968 D penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Copper pennies have a distinct reddish-brown color that changes over time. This natural transformation can create beautiful tones, giving the coin unique character. Some pennies develop rainbow toning with hues of blue, purple, gold, or green. Such artistic toning can significantly increase the desirability and price of a coin. Now let's talk about the exact value range. A regular 1968 penny found in pocket change is worth only 1 cent. A circulated example might sell for 5 to 10 cents to a beginner collector. But when you find a coin in extremely high mint state condition, especially graded MS65, MS66, or MS67, the value leaps dramatically. At MS65, a 1968 penny might bring $25 to $40. At MS66, collectors may pay $150 to $300. But once you hit MS67, the value rockets into the thousands. And the highest auction records for a 1968 penny show staggering figures, with rare examples reaching around $65,482. People often ask how rare such coins actually are. The truth is they are extremely rare. Out of billions minted, only a microscopic fraction survived in perfect condition. And even fewer possess special errors combined with high-grade preservation. That is why you cannot overlook any penny you find. Coins worth tens of thousands sometimes appear in simple places such as old jars, drawers, inherited boxes, estate sales, garage sales, and even forgotten piggy banks. Let's explore why collectors even pay so much for such coins. Collecting coins, especially US coins, is one of the most popular hobbies in the world. People are driven by history, art, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. Owning a rare high-grade specimen from a particular year makes them feel connected to a specific moment in American history. For the 1968 penny, collectors also like the transitional era of coins, the significance of the Lincoln Memorial reverse, and the large number of varieties and errors that exist. This coin serves as a time capsule from 1968. When you hold it, you touch the same metal that circulated during historic events like the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., the Apollo 8 mission, and the civil rights marches. People love owning pieces of history, especially those that survived decades untouched. Now let's walk viewers through how they can examine their own 1968 pennies. First, always check the mint mark. The D stands for Denver Mint. The mint mark appears just below the date. If the D mint mark looks doubled, misplaced, or has unusual shape, it might be a valuable variety. Always check for doubling on the numbers, especially the 1, 9, 6, and 8. Look closely at the letters Liberty and In God We Trust. Any signs of doubling could mean major value. Next, inspect the reverse side. Look for doubling in the Lincoln Memorial columns, lettering, and building details. A doubled die reverse can significantly increase value. Also check the edges of the coin. A clipped planchet will show a curved bite missing from the metal. An off-center strike will show part of the design missing. Lighting is crucial. Use a bright LED light to examine your coin under magnification. A jeweler's loupe with 10x power is ideal. Rotate the coin slowly while observing both sides carefully. Small details confirm authenticity and rarity. If your coin appears to be in very high condition, avoid touching it with fingers. Use gloves to prevent oils from damaging the surface. Store it in a protective holder and consider grading it professionally. A professionally graded coin with a high mint state number significantly increases its market value. Now let's explore auction stories. Many people have found rare pennies unexpectedly. One collector purchased a roll of old pennies from a flea market for just a few dollars. Inside that roll, he discovered a nearly flawless 1968 penny that later sold for tens of thousands. Stories like this remind us that treasure hides in plain sight, waiting to be found. Another collector inherited a box of coins from a family member. The moment you pick up a simple old penny, you probably don't expect it to hold the power to change your entire financial future. But sometimes, one tiny copper coin can rewrite the story of your life. Today, I'm going to take you on a deep journey into one of the most surprising and secretly valuable coins hiding in everyday pocket change. This is the story of the 1970 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, A coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but has a current market value that has shocked collectors around the world. Believe it or not, this tiny penny can be worth up to $87,783. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single penny worth nearly $88,000. So today we are diving into everything you need to know about its history, what makes it so rare, how errors and die variations increased its value, what collectors look for, and most importantly, how to check if the penny sitting in your house is the jackpot coin everyone is searching for. Before we begin, take a moment to imagine this scenario. You're cleaning out an old drawer. You find a dusty jar filled with coins you never bothered to check. You pour them out, expecting nothing but old pennies and nickels, but one coin stands out because of its date. 1970. You look closer, expecting to see a mint mark under the date, maybe a small D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But it's blank. No mint mark at all. Could that be the moment your life changes? That is what makes this coin so exciting. Anyone can find it. And many people are finding it accidentally in old family savings, in pocket change, or in inherited coin collections. And each one of those discoveries has turned into a life-changing story. To understand why the 1970 no-mint mark penny is so special, we need to go back in time and explore its history. The year 1970 was an interesting time in American coin production. The United States Mint was operating at a massive scale, producing billions of coins to satisfy economy demand. The Lincoln cent, originally introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, was already a familiar coin. Most pennies of this year should have either a small D for the Denver Mint or a small S for the San Francisco Mint, depending on where they were produced. But the no-mint mark version is special because the absence of a mint mark indicates Philadelphia production. At the time, Philadelphia was the main mint facility producing large quantities of coins without identifying marks. However, most of these coins were extremely common. The difference with this rare 1970 version comes from a combination of errors, specific die conditions, early strikes, and unusual variations that set certain coins apart from the rest. The reason some 1970 pennies skyrocket in value is because of how they were struck and what happened during the minting process. Some were made with exceptionally sharp dies, producing extremely clean, crisp details. Some had doubled dies, which means the design was struck twice, resulting in slight but visible doubling in letters and numbers. Some coins were struck with proof dies or leftover die varieties meant for special sets. And some simply survived in extremely high-grade condition, untouched for decades. These variations make collectors go wild, because high-grade and rare die varieties become extremely valuable. When you combine rarity, history, condition, and collector demand, the price shoots into the tens of thousands of dollars. Now let's talk about the real money. The highest auction records for the 1970 no-mint mark Lincoln cent have stunned everyone. A single high-grade example has reached an incredible value of $87,783 in the current market. This is not a random number or a one-time sale. This price reflects a growing trend in the coin market, where collectors are paying enormous premiums for rare early strike coins with strong details and perfect preservation. The demand for older Lincoln pennies has skyrocketed in recent years, especially for coins from the 1960s and 70s that contain rare die varieties or extraordinary condition. Why? Because many collectors who grew up in those decades are now adults with disposable income, willing to pay high prices to complete their rare sets. That makes the market stronger and more competitive. Imagine holding a penny that looks like every other penny, but its grade tells a completely different story. Grades like MS65, MS66, MS67, and above are the golden standards for condition. A coin with near-perfect surfaces, shine, luster, and strike can jump from a few dollars to thousands instantly. The highest graded examples of the 1970 no-mint mark penny are what reached the $87,000 value. That is why it's so important to know how to check your coin carefully. Many people have thrown away high-value coins simply because they didn't know what they were looking at. So now let's explore what makes your 1970 penny valuable, and how you can identify the rare ones. First, check the date. Make sure it clearly says 1970. Then, look right underneath the date. If there is no mint mark at all, that's your starting point. But remember, not every no mint mark 1970 penny is automatically worth a fortune. You'll want to inspect the coin closely under good lighting or a magnifying lens. Look at the letters Liberty. Look at the words I in God we trust. Look at the date numbers. Doubling is often the key to identifying rare coins. If the letters or numbers appear slightly thicker, have shadow-like outlines, or appear printed twice, you might have a doubled die. Doubling on the date or Liberty is especially valuable. Next, examine the overall condition of the coin. Is it scratched? Is it worn? Does it have original red shine? Does it have strong luster? A coin stored safely for decades, untouched, likely has very high value. Coins that were circulated heavily, rubbed, or scratched will still have some value but not the tens of thousands. Many rare 1970 pennies that sold for record prices were discovered inside mint sets, old coin folders, or private collections where they remained untouched. Now let's talk about something incredibly important. The metal composition of the 1970 penny. Unlike modern pennies, which are mostly zinc with a thin copper layer, the 1970 penny was made from 95% copper. Copper coins tend to age beautifully, maintain strong details, and survive better over time if they are stored properly. The high copper content also makes them more desirable to collectors because the original reddish copper shine is stunning when preserved. This metallic quality plays a role in why these older pennies command such high prices today. Here's something else many collectors overlook: the alignment and strike quality of the coin. Early strikes from fresh dies often have sharper details, stronger edges, and cleaner surfaces. These coins are the ones that grading companies like PCGS or NGC give higher grades to. So when a 1970 penny receives a grade like MS67 red, the value skyrockets. This is the type of coin that sells for $87,000 at auction. And here's the shocking part. These early strike gems are often sitting in old rolls or coin albums. A simple unsearched roll of pennies could contain the jackpot coin. So let's talk about how you, right now, can check your own coins. Start by going through any old coin jar, any savings your parents or grandparents kept, any inherited coin boxes, or any old piggy banks. These are the places where rare pennies hide for decades without anyone noticing. Lay out your coins. Separate the ones from the 1970s. And then pull out every single 1970 penny you can find. Examine them slowly and carefully. Use a magnifying glass or your phone camera's zoom to inspect details. Keep an eye out for doubling, sharp details, unusual shine, red surfaces, and lack of wear. Understanding the history behind this coin makes the journey even more exciting. The Lincoln Cent series has been one of the most iconic and longest-running coin collections in American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, the coin has featured President Abraham Lincoln longer than any other U.S. coin design. Over the decades, the mint has faced production challenges, die errors, shortages, and changes in metal composition. All of these factors contribute to why certain years and certain mint variations have become extremely rare today. And the 1970 no mint mark is one of the shining stars of that era. Collectors value coins that represent moments of change, unusual production conditions, or die variety transitions. The 70s were a time when minting technology was improving, but errors still happened frequently. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, get ready for a deep dive into one of the most surprising modern-era Lincoln Cents, a coin that has quietly become one of the hottest finds for collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people checking their loose change. We are talking about the 1973 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that most people overlook every single day. But hidden among the billions produced in 1973, there are rare specimens that have sold for absolutely shocking amounts of money. And the most valuable one recorded has reached a stunning current market value of $58,372. Yes, you heard that correctly. A little brown penny from 1973, worth more than a luxury car, more than a full year of income, and for some people, more than life-changing money. But what makes this coin so special? How can a simple copper penny from the 1970s become a five-figure treasure? Is it rare? Is it an error? Is it a high-grade condition phenomenon? Or is there more to this story? Today we're going to explore everything: the history, the minting background, the design details, the valuable errors, the grading secrets, the shocking auction results, and most importantly, what to look for in your own change. Let's begin with the background of the 1973 D Lincoln cent. The Denver Mint in 1973 was producing coins at an incredibly fast pace. Millions and millions of pennies flowing through the minting presses every single day. In total, over 3.5 billion Lincoln cents were produced that year. That means the 1973 penny itself is not rare. It is easy to find, common in circulation, and frequently ignored. But when billions of coins are made, tiny mistakes, small variations, and unexpected minting errors become possible. And it's those rare occurrences that make collectors go wild. Now let's talk about the metal composition. The 1973 Lincoln penny was still made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, part of the classic alloy used for decades. Copper pennies are heavier, more durable, and they tend to survive in better condition if stored properly. So the question becomes, if copper pennies are everywhere, why is the 1973 D penny worth so much in certain cases? The answer lies in condition rarity and specific minting errors that make certain examples extremely valuable. So let's step deeper into the world of condition rarity. When collectors talk about the highest value coins, they're almost always talking about coins graded by professional agencies like PCGS or NGC. The higher the grade, the sharper the details, the better the luster, and the fewer imperfections. Most pennies that enter circulation pick up scratches, hits, contact marks, and discoloration. But the rarest few survive in pristine, almost perfect condition, either by accident or by being saved early on. A 1973 D penny graded in the high mint state range, especially MS67 or beyond, becomes extremely valuable because only a handful exist in such outstanding condition. The Denver Mint is known for strong strikes overall, but even then, certain coins simply come out more perfect than the rest. When collectors battle for the best example in the world, prices skyrocket. Some of the most stunning 1973 D Lincoln cents ever discovered have sold for more than $50,000, reaching the current recorded market peak of $58,372. That is not because the penny is old, but because the penny is perfect. And when rarity meets demand, even a simple 1-cent coin becomes an expensive treasure. But high grades aren't the only thing that make this coin valuable. Let's talk about the errors and varieties from 1973. Every year, thousands of coins leave the mint with mistakes. Some are minor, while others are dramatic. Doubling errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and die breaks all occurred during the mass production of 1973 cents. Some of these errors bring in hundreds of dollars. Some reach thousands. Let's explore them in detail. Point 1: of the most desirable errors is the doubled die. Although 1973 does not have the famous doubled dies of earlier years like 1955 or 1972, there are still known doubled die varieties, especially on the lettering, the date, and the mint mark area. They are subtle but valuable. Collectors love any kind of doubling because it's a minting mistake that makes the coin unique. If you find strong doubling on the words Liberty, or In God We Trust, or even on Lincoln's profile, you might be looking at a rare coin worth a surprising amount. Another error to search for is the off-center strike. Off-center pennies can range from small misalignments to dramatic ones where a portion of the coin is completely missing from the strike area. The more off-center the strike and the more of the date that remains visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1973 D penny with a major off-center strike in high grade can easily reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars because collectors love dramatic minting mistakes. Next, let's discuss clipped planchets. A clipped planchet error happens when the metal sheet used to punch out coin blanks overlaps with a previously punched hole, resulting in a crescent-shaped clip missing from the coin. These errors are rare and visually striking. A clean, Well-shaped clipped planchet from 1973 with a Denver Mint mark can bring exceptional prices, again depending on condition. Die cracks and die breaks are also fun to find. When a die used to strike coins begins to wear or develop fractures, the cracks transfer onto the coins. These cracks can appear as raised lines across Lincoln's portrait, or along the reverse. Some cracks expand into major die breaks known as cut errors. A cut error on a 1973 D penny can sell for high prices due to its bold and dramatic appearance. Now let's talk about why collectors care so much about high-grade modern coins like the 1973 D penny. Even though billions were made, most of them were spent, used, damaged, and worn out. The pennies that survive in untouched mint state condition are unbelievably rare. Collectors only want the very best examples. They want the top of the registry set. They want the highest known score. Just like sports cards, comic books, or vintage toys, the top-grade examples become investment-level collectibles. When a single coin sits at the top of the population report, meaning it's the finest known, collectors may pay enormous premiums. This is exactly why one single 1973 D Lincoln cent reached the incredible value of $58,372. It wasn't just a penny. It was the best penny from that year ever found out. Let's take a moment to imagine this. Somewhere, back in 1973, someone might have found this shiny new penny and placed it in a jar or a drawer. Maybe it was saved as part of a roll, or placed in a protective set. Whatever happened, that coin avoided the scratches, the fingerprints, the moisture, the dirt, and the wear that damages most coins over time. Decades later, that single perfect coin became a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. This is why coin collecting is so fascinating. Small choices, random accidents, and perfect conditions can turn something worth 1 cent into something worth more than $50,000. Now let's talk about what makes the design of the Lincoln penny so iconic. The obverse features the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. This design has endured for more than a century, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The familiar motto "In God We Trust" appears above Lincoln's head. Liberty appears to the left. And the date 1973 sits to the right, with the small D Mint mark directly beneath it, indicating that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The detailed pillars, the tiny statue of Lincoln visible between the columns, and the bold lettering of United States of America and E Pluribus Unum give the coin its classic appearance. Even though the design is common, errors in the striking process can create rare varieties. Weak strikes, die deterioration, and even slight variations in lettering can attract collector interest. Many people ask whether a 1973 D penny is worth keeping. The answer is yes, absolutely. Even an ordinary-looking one should be examined closely. You never know when you might have an unusually sharp strike, a rare early die state, or a subtle but valuable error. Let's go deeper into grading. When grading a Lincoln penny, experts look at the luster, strike sharpness, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal. The highest grades, such as MS66, MS67, and MS68, are extremely rare for this coin.